Hi, I'm Kristen. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I am a police wife of almost 9 years in May, and I make videos every Tuesday on Police Wife Life. I post them at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So I hope you will stick along and subscribe. In today's video, I'm going to talk about something quite serious that I get questions about quite recently on my Instagram page, where I have quite a large community of police wives, so definitely check me out over there. It isn't the happiest thing to talk about, so I commonly get the question of a death that someone has experienced in their spouse's department or their boyfriend or girlfriend's department, and how do they support their spouse. And I'm working on a video on secondary trauma because I think it's relevant to this, and I think that whenever we experience that and it's close to home, it can be really, really hard on us as the wives, and then our girlfriends, boyfriends, and then also on our spouse. And we're both processing that information separately. We need to try to do it together, but it can be really hard. So I want to tell you first about a story of me, newly married police wife Kristen, and how I dealt with it probably the wrong way, and didn't really have a lot of empathy for Rick, and how I have improved on my support for him and how I process things, and hopefully it will help you. So Rick and I were at the movies with his best friend, who is also a police officer. They went through the academy together. They've known each other like 16 years now. His friend is a vet. He went to Iraq, Afghanistan like several times, and he's a really tough, strong person, as is Rick. I mean, they both are just really tough, strong people that don't get too emotional about things. I think they also are people that like to help problems that happen in the world, and that's why they went into their field, right? So we're at the movies, enjoying the movie, and his friend also had his girlfriend there. And I see them kind of like whisper to each other in the middle of the movie, and Rick checks his phone and he looks kind of like, I can just tell something's up. So I say, hey, what's going on? And he said, hey, a guy they were in the gang unit in South Central at the time, both of them, in LA, that one of their colleagues, one of their fellow officers got shot while doing a sweep of a house. He had looked up in the basement and got shot in the head. And Rick just kind of tells me this and then continues to watch the movie. So I'm a very emotional person, and I was like, okay, we're not going to talk about this more? Like, wow, should we go to the hospital? Can we go to the hospital? Can we bring his family something? That's kind of how I deal with things. So as soon as the movie ended, everybody goes to the bathroom, by the way, like just because we needed to go. So we go to the bathroom, and nobody says a thing about it. And so like after we meet outside the bathroom, I ask Rick, like, are we gonna talk about this at all? And he's like, there's nothing to talk about. I just wish I was there. And I was like, whoa. So we get in the car, and Rick refers to this as like an argument. We had an argument. I feel like it was more of a discussion, but we can argue about that later. And I was like upset with him, first of all, like that he wanted to be there. I was upset with him. I felt like, well, I don't want you there. I'm so glad you weren't there, but he said if he was there, he could have done something about it. And he wishes that he could have been there, and he feels like he could have solved the issue. I also want to give you a little bit of background on Rick, and his dad was actually shot in the head at a domestic violence call. His dad was a police officer in Las Vegas many, many years ago, and definitely his life was affected by it, definitely. So I think I wasn't really thinking about that. I wasn't really having empathy for Rick around that, and we just lost his dad a couple of years ago. And so I was just, I think for me, like talking things out really helps. And for Rick, it doesn't. He doesn't really want to think about it, and he is a solver, right? So he wants to now work more so that he can be there to, like, in his mind, prevent it from happening again to someone else. And I see that in him, and I see that helps him. But it's just, for me, I need like a moment to talk about it. I want to go and support that person that something happened to, or their family, like make them food, stuff like that, anything you could do to help them in that way. But really for Rick, he just wanted to go to work the next day, and he just wanted to continue working hard, creating a safer community, being there for his fellow officers, and that's the way that he dealt with it. And then also, he doesn't talk. Like, he's just not a talker. It took me a long time to realize that, because I am. And I learned, like, when he's home, when he's with me, when he's with our kids, he just wants to be with us and hang out with us. And he doesn't want to talk about work. And he would always tell me, like, it's not helpful for him. It's not helpful. It's not something happy to talk about. It's hardly ever a good story. He will share like the funny stories with me, or the inspiring stories when he really was able to help someone. But even then, he's like not somebody to brag. So it's kind of hard to even pull those stories out of him. But I learned that just being with us is really what he needed. And for me to listen, right? And listen to him. What he was saying is he wants to go to work, and he wishes he could have been there so that he can help the fellow officers. And I needed to listen to that, and I didn't. Like, I didn't hear it. I was just lost in my own thoughts. So I guess what I have learned is to really listen to where he's at with whatever challenge, if he experiences a loss at work that's close to home. I remember there was a female officer that they lost, and he had her picture on his desk for a little bit. Like, it would just show up places, and he went to the funeral, and he had worked with her for a while. And so that one was really close to home too. And I think during that time, just kind of letting him be and letting him process it, and then trying to create like a happy, healthy home environment for him, even though it can be chaotic because we have 2 little boys. I think that that's like what I can do. And I can take care of things around the house during that time while he's going through grief, so that he doesn't have to worry about it. And those are simple little things that we can do. And I wrote a blog about this, like an open letter to you guys about like how to be a supportive police wife. It really comes down to, I'll link that in the description below if you want to read it. A lot of people really enjoyed it, and some people said they cried after reading it. I tell some other stories in that are like really close to home for us. I think that it just really comes down to those little things, like listen, have empathy, be there when they do want to talk, and don't force them to talk like I did at the beginning if they don't want to, and just create this comfortable, safe space for them in the home. And that is such a little thing that we can do. And I think that when it comes to grief and being there for your partner, that's what you need to do. Just be there for them. Just physically be there and be a safe space. And I think it's as simple as that. I think if they are showing signs of really suffering mental health wise, I think it's important to encourage people to work out. And I talk about that like so much, but that is so helpful for Rick. And that's why I always say it. He does like really intense CrossFit, really intense like MMA, jiu-jitsu, stuff like that. And it helps him feel better. It really does do something biologically, physiologically in your body to create a change. And so that is really important. I think that, Rick is not really open to seeing a psychologist or something like that, but if that is something that your spouse or boyfriend, girlfriend is open to, then definitely encourage that. I think that there's supplements, like I love ashwagandha. Ashwagandha helps with anxiety. I love it. I always preach about it. I will link it in the description below. You can check that out. Also, I always like to share resources. So there is a nonprofit that helps to pay for jiu-jitsu for officers, and they will pay $50 of a gym fee, which sometimes is like half because they are kind of pricey, usually gym fees, but check that out. I will link their info in the description as well. So if you are trying to kind of encourage your spouse to work out for their mental and physical health, that's a really good resource. So we use it. Rick has $50 paid the gym membership for his jiu-jitsu gym, which is awesome. So I think those are my tips that I would recommend you to look into. And I just wish you guys peace and love. And I hope that, every time something hits close to home, it's super hard. I think just remember, let yourself have those feelings as a police wife or girlfriend or boyfriend, and then like just let yourself have time. Maybe it's a day, maybe it's a week, and then just know that that is rare, and remember that it is still rare. Even though it hits close to home, sometimes it is still rare, and odds are that your spouse will make it home safe. So just remember that as well too. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next Tuesday, 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Also, before you go, I have an email list. I send out weekly emails and a monthly newsletter where I interview a police wife, so definitely check that out in the description and sign up. And I'd love to see you over on my Instagram. Have a great day. Bye.